back to the grade 7 mathematics class. Today being the 22nd of July, we are carrying on with our lesson for the day. And of course, we have to now revisit fractions as we prepare ourselves for the second assessment, which will take place in due course. Once again, let us ensure that we continue to use our group chat for any questions or comments. And thank you very much indeed for taking the time once again to be part of this lesson. And I do hope that it will be a fruitful lesson as always. Right, today's work is going to center around some of the concepts which we are revising, which is fractions, where we need to revisit the addition and subtraction of common fractions. You will recall that at some point we did multiplication and division of fractions. And if you have checked thoroughly in the previous assessment, you did not get anything on fractions. It is for this reason that we have to go to fractions. And once again, we should know by now that you can only add or subtract fractions when the denominators are the same. And I know that there are many learners who struggle with fractions, and I want to make this as easier as possible. To start by saying, in adding or subtracting fractions, you first have to convert all the fractions so that they have the same denominator. So this is what is important. In order to add or subtract any fractions, you have to first convert the fractions in such a way that all the denominators will be the same. I'm saying all in this case because at times you may be required to add 2 fractions or 3 or even more. You may even be required to add 4 fractions. And of course, we are at this point trying to demonstrate the importance of adding fractions as such. About the marks, I will definitely, didn't you receive your marks yet? I think you should by now. If you have not, please tell me or WhatsApp me, it's fine. And then we can find out what happened to your work. Right, we are now proceeding. We are now proceeding, and of course, the very first example is just to demonstrate the importance of revising the addition of fractions. And of course, you can tell that if you add 3 over 5 plus 1 over 2, which is half, there are learners who sometimes make a mistake. And the mistake is as follows. They add 3 plus 1 because those are the numerators, and the learner will say it's 4, and thereafter add 5 plus 2, which is 7. And the learner will say the answer is 4 over 7. Please note that is not correct. If you do that, or if you are one of the people who do that, please note that you are not following the right procedure in as far as the addition of fractions is concerned. What is the right procedure? As I've outlined before, the right procedure is to make sure that you turn your fractions in such a way that they have the same denominator. And we are going to take it very slowly so that you can see what I'm talking about. Once you can get this example 1 correct, then you will not struggle with any other activity. Now that the lowest common denominator is 10, that is what we are looking for. We are looking for the common denominator, as Fizana said. Fizana says we have to find a common denominator. Exactly. That's correct, Fizana. You have to find the lowest common denominator. And in this case, the lowest common denominator will be 10. Why is it 10? Because 5 in the first denominator there of 3 over 5, 5, which is a denominator, can go into 10 without a remainder. Or in other words, 10 is divisible by 5. You can divide 10 by 5, but at the same time, you can divide 10 by 2. Some of the people multiply only 5 and 2 there as the denominators in order to get the common denominator. That's not a problem. You can do that. You can actually do that. But now that we know that 10 is the denominator, we are now going to convert our denominators in such a way that every denominator will now be 10. How do we do that? Obviously, if you look at these red numbers, I've got 2 over 2 there. So 3 over 5, in order to get 10 in the denominator, we multiply 5 by 2. But remember, whatever you do to the denominator must also be done to the numerator. So we multiply 3 as well by 2. So we are multiplying 5, which is the denominator. We multiply it by 2 in order to get 10. Remember, we said that the lowest common denominator is 10. Therefore, the only number that you can use to multiply 5 with is 2 if you want to get 10. Right, and then as I said, whatever you do to the denominator should also be done to the numerator. So it's 5 times 2, and then at the same time 3 times 2. Then plus 1 over 2. And in this 1 over 2, once more, you multiply the denominator with as we carry on and of this 1 times 5, 2 multiplied by 5, I noticed the unstable connection there, but I hope that we are back to normal now. I'm sure that you couldn't hear me for a second or so, but now you probably can hear me. Let's now carry on. So 3 multiplied by 2 becomes 6, and 5 times 2 becomes 10. And then you can see that we have 6 over 10. That is what we have. And then we do the same with the second fraction. 1 times 5 is 5. And then 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. So meaning that you'll have, in addition to, in the space of half, you'll have 5 over 10. And then of course, all that you need to do now is just to add the numerators. Once the denominators are the same, then you can definitely add the numerators. And that is what we are doing here. 6 plus 5 is 11, and then 10 is the denominator. But then you can tell without doubt that 11 over 10 is an improper fraction. And then what do we do? If you have an improper fraction, of course, you'll find out 10 goes how many times into 11? It goes once, and the remainder is 1 over 10. So you'll have a whole number 1 there, and then 1 over 10. So that will be your solution. So I do hope that you have been able to learn a few things. The most important thing, as I've said in this example, is to ensure that the denominators remain the same. And once the denominators are the same, then you can add the numerators. And this example goes for also subtraction of fractions. If you subtract fractions as well, you follow the same procedure. You have to make sure that the denominators are the same, and then you can subtract the numerators in that case. All right. Thank you very much indeed. Huapeli and Lehumode, we subtract and by making sure that the denominators are the same. So once the denominators are the same, then you can subtract or add the numerators. I hope that this example has made sense. And then, without doubt, we can proceed to demonstrate that when you are subtracting, I can see your comment, Minas. When you are subtracting now 3 over 4 minus 6 over 7. Minas, I will come back to you regarding your earlier question about your test, and then I've just sent a message now to the HOD, and of course we'll check what happened to your test. Right, 3 over 4 minus 6 over 7. Now, the lowest common denominator should be found. That is, we're looking at the number which is a multiple of 4. That same number should be a multiple of 7. Meaning that it should be, the number should be divisible by 4 or also divisible by 7. And in this case, we have identified that number as 28. Some people may ask, but how do you get this 28? As I said earlier on, you can simply multiply the two denominators. If you multiply 4 by 7, you get 28. So 28 should be the lowest common denominator. And of course, or the LCM, the lowest common multiple as well, yes. The lowest common multiple, you might as well call it that, is the lowest common multiple. And of course, the lowest common multiple is 28. If you divide 28 by 4, you will get 7. And then if you divide 28 by 7, you get 4. So we have to now check that in order to get 28, you multiply 4 by 7. But remember that whatever you do to the denominator should be done to the numerator as well. So you've got 4 times 7 and then 3 times 7 there. Minus 6 times 4 minus the 7 times 4. So that is what you need to do, to multiply the denominators. And then, of course, 3 times 7 is 28. And then, of course, 4 times 7 is 28. 6 times 4 gives you 24. And then 7 times 4 is 28. So at this point, you can now subtract the numerators. 21 minus 24, that is negative 3. So you have negative 3. And then you are now going to remain with the denominator, which is 28. So 28 will be the common denominator. Right, so the answer will be negative 3 over 28. And then the last example there, example 3, you can see that 3 is a whole number, and then all that we need is to turn it into a fraction. How do you turn 3 into a fraction? You divide it by 1. So as you can see, 3 over 1 plus 5 over 4, and then you can just tell that the lowest common multiple there will be 4. So once you have 4 as the lowest common multiple, then you should be able to turn 1 there into 4. I'm talking about the red one here. Red 1, the one which is red there. Of course, you can see that it's the denominator. And to make it 4, then it means you must multiply it by 4. Whatever you do to the denominator should be done also to the numerator. And of course, at the end of the day, you'll have 12 over 4 plus 5 over 4. And then at this point, you can add the numerators, which is 17 over 4. Remember, once you have this improper fraction, then you can turn it into a mixed number. So that's what we mean. You can actually turn this into a mixed number. And then, of course, you find out 4 goes how many times into 17, then it's 4, 1 over 4, right? Great. Can we now go on to the last activity there of based on what we have just done here, just to calculate 2 over 3 plus 3 over 5. So you now have an opportunity to engage with the lesson and to check whether you have been able to understand what was taught today. The first one, we are adding 2 fractions there. 2 over 5 plus 3 over 5. Can we add these 2 fractions? Can we add the 2 fractions together? And then let's take it from there. Right, I see Fizana is busy trying to add. I see Minaz is done already. Thank you, Minaz. I can see your answer there. You found 1 because you say 5 over 5. And of course, the 5 over 5, meaning that you have just added 2 plus 3. Why did you add 2 and 3 together, Minaz? The reason being, what's the reason there? The denominators are the same. So you can tell that now that the denominators are the same, you can just add the numerators. Now that the denominators are the same, you can just add the numerators. And of course, the first one there is to add 2 and 3. So 2 plus 3 will be 5. So this means that you have got 5 over 5. 5 over 5 is 1. So can we carry on now to the second one? I see Minaz has done that. Huapili as well. That is correct. Huapili, thank you very much. Huapili also found 5 over 5, which is 1. Can we now move to B? Can you see B is quite complicated in a sense that it is now mixed numbers. You are now adding mixed numbers. You may have to work it out. So if you have a pen and a paper there with you, please work out 3, which is a whole number, and then 2 over 3 plus 2, and then 3 over 4. So the starting point, please convert your mixed number into an improper fractions. Mixed numbers, turn them into improper fractions. Before you can give me the final answer, I want you to give me the improper fractions first. That is what I want, because I want to see that you understand what is going on. That is the first thing. The first step, before you can go to the final answer, Minas, I just want you to show me the improper fractions that you are adding. The improper fractions. Right, I hope that you are there now, because that is what I want you to show me. How did you find the improper fraction? It's very important. Very, very important. I see Minaz Sali found the answer to be whole number 6 and then fraction 5/12. And Brighton Kosi says you found 5, the whole number is 5 and then 5/7. Kwapili says 65/12. That is what Kwapili got. Right. I have to agree with Minas, although I did not see your first step there. Minas, the correct answer would be yes. Kwapili as well says also. Oh, I see. Kwapili says whole number 6. Okay. I hear you, Kwapili. That's correct. Yes. Whole number is 6, and then the fraction is 5/12. Okay, Kwapili, it appeared to be 65. Sorry about that. Now I understand. So it's whole number, which is 6, and then 5/12. You are right. That's the correct answer. And the manner in which you go about this is firstly to convert your fraction. And by the way, you don't always have to convert, because remember, there are many ways to solve mathematical problems. One of you may start by adding 3 and 2, the two whole numbers, which will give you 5. And thereafter, you have to add 2/3 and 3/4. In that case, you will have to find the lowest common multiple, which is 12. And you'll see that 3 into 12 goes 4 times. If you multiply 4 by 2, you get 8. And then 4 into 12 goes 3 times. If you multiply that by 3, you get 9. And then 9 plus 8 is 17. So you'll have an improper fraction, which you still have to work out. So you'll see that 12 into 17 goes only once, and then the remainder will be 5/12. So if you add that whole number 1 and the 5, then you get 6 and then 5/12. Alternatively, you can convert those mixed numbers, as I said. You convert them into improper fractions. And then I'm just going to demonstrate it as well in the group chat for everyone to see that once you are at this point, you will see that you will be able to have improper fractions. And then, of course, your first improper fraction there will be 11/3. And then the next one will be 11/4. So basically, this is the improper fractions that you will have. So 11/3 plus 11/4. Right. I see there's a question there, sir. Could you explain how to do it? I was in here yesterday. Right. I'm explaining that. Now you can see that I've got 11/3 plus 11/4. How did I find it? I have turned the improper, the mixed number into an improper fraction. And how do I do that? You multiply 3, that is the denominator there, by 3, the whole number. 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. And then you add 2, which is the numerator there. 9 plus 2 is 11. So I've got 11/3. That is the first one. Plus the second mixed number there, you multiply 4, which is the denominator there. 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 plus 3 is 11. So hence I've got 11/4, as you can see there. Now, we have got two fractions now, the improper fractions, and the denominators are not the same. So if the denominators are not the same, then it means you have to find the lowest common multiple there, which will be 12. And then you'll see that at this point, you will take the same fraction and then you multiply it with 4/4. And then, of course, thereafter, you add the other fraction, which is 11/4. And then you multiply that with 3/3. So basically, this is how we proceed. So you'll have 11/3 times 4/4 plus 11/4 times 3/3. And then, of course, if you multiply 11 by 4, you get 44. So the next step will be to find 44 over 3 times 4 is 12, and then you add the next fraction, which will be 11 times 4, 11 times 4 again. In fact, 11 times 3 is 33 divided by 12. So basically, this is the fractions that you'll have now. Can you see? The denominators are now the same, and then you can add the numerators. So the numerator will be 44 plus 33, which is 77. So now you have 77 over 12, and it is at this point that you can find out 77 goes how many times into 12 goes how many times into 77? It goes 6 times, and the remainder is 5/12. So basically, that is what you have. The last one, Fizana, can you please answer the last one quickly? I see Fizana is already ahead. Can you answer the last one quickly? The last one, Fizana, let's carry on. Let's proceed to the last one. The last one as well, you can see we have C there where we've got the whole number 4. And of course, that's whole number 4, and then you also have 1/2. And then you add the 1/3 there. So basically, this is what you have in C. And once again, you can just turn these fractions into an 2/4 to get 8. I see Minas already found the answer there. Thank you, Minas. Once again, you are able to now tell that 5/6. So basically, you turn your mixed number into an improper fraction. That is what you do. Can we, I see that Minas says it's 4 and then 5/6. Right, is that the only one? Can we get another person there? Huapili, how much did you get? Huapili, how much did you get? Right, Fizana also got the same. Great, Fizana. So basically, you just turn your fraction, it becomes 9/2, the first one. So you're adding 9/2 and 1/3. The lowest common denominator there, or the lowest common multiple rather, is 6. And then you have to multiply 9 by 3 to get 27. 3 into 6 goes once, or twice in fact. And then if you multiply that by 1, you get 2. So 29/6 will be your improper fraction. 29/6, yes. 29, I see Huapili says 29, not 45, yes. 29, Huapili. And then 6 into 29 goes how many times? 6 into 29 goes how many times? It goes 4 times. Remember, 6 times 4 is 24. So the remainder is 5/6. Fully agree. I fully agree with you. Right, we are done with the first one there. We are just moving towards the next one, which is a bit different, as you can see. Let's add it quickly. 1/3 plus 3/5. Let's carry on. Let's carry on. Let's carry on. Can we add the remaining ones, please? Let's carry on with calculations. All right, I see Minas, you have 14/15. How did you find that? 1/3 plus 3/5. How did you find it, Minas? Obviously, the lowest common multiple will be 15. And of course, if you turn your denominators into 15 there, you'll see that you'll be adding 5 and 9. So 5 plus 9 will be 14. So the answer there will be 14/15. I fully agree with that answer there. The approach is correct. The next one, I see Minas says 1/3 times 5. 3/5 times 3. I see. Which one are you doing now, Minas? All right, Fizana got 4/15. Fizana, the 4, how did you get the 4? Can you just tell me how did you get 4? All right, I see what you mean, Minas. You were just explaining, but I'm interested more. Fizana, just double check your denominator there is correct, but the numerator, I have a problem with your numerator. It can't be 4. Just double check. Hopefully there's a mistake somewhere. Remember, as I've said, the most important thing is to turn your denominators into 15, which is a common multiple. And of course, at that point, you should be able to. All right, I hear you, Fizana. I can see your comment. And of course, this becomes 5/15. And then you are also adding 9/15. So basically, we are at that point where we have turned now the denominators to be the same. And as I've indicated, once the denominators are the same, then you can find a way just to add the numerators. So can we now add the numerators? If you add 5 and 9, obviously you'll get 14. So therefore, your final answer there will be 14/15. Right, thank you very much indeed, Fizana. Let's carry on with the second one. Fizana says, in fact, Minas says the second one, you already found the final answer there, which is 7, whole number 7, and then 13/40. Right? And then, of course, the first thing first, I see Bibilo got 7, and then 16/40, which is different from what Minas got. So Bibilo, I see you have a different answer to the one that was found by Minas. all that I want you to do now is just to demonstrate how did you find this answer. I will be happy if you can perhaps demonstrate. Let's demonstrate. Right, Buipilo, my interest is just to check how did you find 16 instead of 13. Right, you say that you have changed the denominators. Let's see. So the first things first, most learners may realize that the importance of converting the mixed number into an improper fraction. And in this case, that is what we are exactly doing. The first things first, you can see that you have to multiply 5 by 2. 5 times 2 is 11. 5 times 2 is 11, and 11 plus 1. In fact, 5 times 2 is 10, sorry. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So you have 11 over 5 plus, if you multiply 8 by 5, you get 40. And then plus 1 is 41 over 8, right? So basically, the first things first, you will have your conversion there will lead to 11 over 5 plus 41 over 8. I hope that everyone is following because I'm doing it now in the... So Buipelo says you multiply the number by what you got, which is 16. Right, we'll get to that, Buipelo. Right now, you can see that the denominators are not the same. We have 11 over 5 plus 41 over 8. So these are the fractions that come out of the mixed numbers that we had. When we multiply 5 by 2, you get 10, and 10 plus 1 is 11. Now at this point, we are now going to multiply our fraction, 11 over 5, and then we'll multiply that by, the 5 has to be multiplied by 8. So we'll multiply by 8 over 8, and then this is plus. The next fraction is 41 over 8, and then we multiply that with 5 over 5. So basically, this is the procedure. So you can see that I'm now multiplying the two fractions now. So 11 times 8 is 88, as you know. You multiply 11 by 8 to get 88. And thereafter, you must check. So we'll have 11 times 8, which is 88. So you'll have 88 over 40, and then plus. Then you multiply 5 by 41. So you have to now multiply 5 and 41. What is 5 times 41? 5 times 41 is 205. So you'll have 205 over 40 there. So basically, this is what you'll have. All right. Now, at this point, you can be able to now add your numerators. So if you add your numerators, that will be 88 plus 205. And of course, that will give you 293 divided by 14. So basically, you will have 293 divided by 14. Okay. And obviously, if you divide 293 by 40, 40 goes how many times into 293? It goes 7 times because it goes into 280. So it goes 7 times and the remainder will be 13. Because 293 minus 280 gives you 13. So the remainder will be 13. Therefore, your answer will be whole number 7 there, and then 13 over 40. So the correct answer is this one of Minaz. Minaz is the one who got the correct answer there. I hope you have seen that, Buipelo. You have now seen how do we find the answer. I hope that you have seen that, Buipelo. Can we quickly do the third one now? Let's go to the third one. Let's go to the third one before it's too late. We've got 2 and then 1 over 3. Minas says 3 and then 1 over 12. Thank you very much indeed for your speedy response, Minas. So once again, you have to convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. I appreciate that, Fizana. That's a good input there. I really appreciate your message. I also thank you there. So the first one there is 2, 1 over 3. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then 6 plus 1 is 7. So you'll have 7 over 3 in the first fraction. So you'll have 7 over 3 plus 3 over 4. So basically that is what you'll have. All right. Now at this point, you need the lowest common multiple, which is 12 in this case. So it means you will multiply your first fraction there. You will multiply it by 4 over 4. And then the second one as well, the second fraction, which is 3 over 4 or 3 quarters, you'll multiply that by 3 over 3. You'll multiply that by 3 over 3. And then 7 times 4 is 28. So you'll have 28 over 12 plus, and then 3 times 3 is 9. So you'll have 9 over 12. Now we have to add 28 and 9, which becomes 37. So you'll have 37 over 12. All right. So at this point, you'll have 37 over 12, and then 12 into 37 goes how many times? It goes 3 times, right? Because it goes into 36. Remember that 12 goes into 36. 12 times 3 is 36. So 12 into 37 goes 3 times. The remainder is 1 over 12. So your final answer will be 3 and half. In fact, not half, but 3 and then 1 over 12. So basically, that is what you'll have. And this is what Minas got. Thank you very much indeed, Minas. That was the correct answer. Can we quickly go to the last one now? The last one, you can see there's an addition as well as subtraction. The lowest common multiple there is 12. And once again, you need to realize that when you have fractions of this nature, okay, Minas says, I'm not sure, right? Minas says 10 over 12, I think, all right? So basically, you will be able to tell that you are going to add 18 plus 3, which is 21, and then thereafter you subtract 4. So you'll have 17 over 12. Minas, if you work it out correctly, you'll see that it will lead you to 17 over 12. And then the last point there is that you will have one whole number and then 5/12. And of course, that is the final answer there. Once you work it out, you'll see that it will be 17/12. This lesson was brought to you by the STEM Digital School in partnership with the Sasol Foundation. Until we meet again tomorrow, thank you very much indeed.